Prestige TV.
And we have that in the form of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, episode 3, seeing the men of the realm pining to install young Prince Aegon as heir to the throne. Rhaenyra becomes defiant towards her Lord Father the King. Meanwhile, in the Steppe Stones, Daemon and Lord Valerian war against the Crab Feeder.
Crab Feeder.
So, episode 3. Thoughts?
It was a wild ride. It was, at first, I thought maybe it was going to be a little slow. Had kind of a beginning that wasn't like super, like, oh, I don't know what direction is this going to be. And I like talking, like, I'm okay with that, but sometimes it can be talking where, like, I don't know if anything's happened. I initially thought it was it. And then this show just went bonkers. The violence, the just intensity of it, the fire, the brimstone, all those things I love about it. This made me, every episode's been better to me. The first one I was kind of just, I think what happens is I had to get myself back into good Game of Thrones. And even though I binged it, it still felt like a while ago. It still was a while ago, actually. It's been, 6 years or 5 years since the show went off the air? Or I probably wasn't even that long, whatever it was. It's still been a good amount of time.
Yeah.
It's been a good amount of time. I think it's 4 years now, actually. It was still a good amount of time thinking about that. And then you're like, oh, this is why I actually liked this. When I liked it, it was because of episodes like this, where there's talking, there is that back and forth. And then it's like, here's just some ruthless violence and fire. But then you have the teen angst, or she's not a teenager, but I think this show is trending towards a direction of being like, we know what happened with the end of Game of Thrones. We're sorry. Let's play the hits. And it's doing all those things, I think, really well so far. And I think this episode, with just all that mixed in, really hit it.
May 19th, 2019 was the series finale for
okay, so I guess 3.5 years. Huh.
Game of Thrones.
No longer.
Yeah. I felt like this was another good step in the right direction. I think that the thing that is drawing me in a little bit more is that whereas the Game of Thrones episodes, especially the farther the series got along, were so sprawling in nature. You have what's going on in the north, with what's going on with Daenerys over, across the Narrow Sea, what's going on in King's Landing. Well, what's Arya up to, because she's kind of sneaking around. Well, what's Sansa up to, because she's being passed along from dude to dude. What's going on with the Brothers Without Banners, and all. There were so many different storylines, and at times it became hard to keep track of.
Yeah,
in the sense that you have your favorites, and then there's the Wall and the Night Watch and everything, but you have your favorites and you want to see those characters on screen, and then you kind of tune out a little bit when characters that you don't care about are on screen. And I felt like as the series got further along, and it's just introducing more and more characters, and the list goes on. There's ones that I forgot about. Bran, with whatever he was doing, and the Iron Islands, and there's just so much. And I think that this is very contained compared to that. You're having it's in 2 separate locations. This episode was in 2 separate locations, but the bulk of the time's being spent in King's Landing, in the court, on the small council. And I think that that's just exactly what, as a viewer, I'm looking for personally, because it is more about that intrigue. It is more about people trying to maneuver around each other and make deals and strengthen alliances. They talked with, the Lannisters pop up in this episode.
Yes.
And it's our first glimpse of them in some of these different houses that are really familiar from Game of Thrones. Like there was the Baratheons in the first episode where with the jousting tourney, there was a Stark that bent the knee to the heir at the end of the first episode. We see the Lannisters pop up, Sir Christian Cole's Dornish, so there's that house that we're familiar with. And so sprinkling in that familiarity is kind of comfort food, but also I think that just the contained nature of the story is making it a little bit more, I don't want to say fun to watch, but like maybe a little bit more navigable than those later seasons of Game of Thrones. It really reminds me of the first season when there just wasn't as much. You know what I mean? You had the Wall and Jon Snow, and you had King's Landing where the rest of the Starks were kind of dealing with the Lannisters, and then you had Dany across the Narrow Sea, and that was pretty much it. And so I kind of hope that they kind of keep it where it's at right now, because I do think that, again, to me, the more contained nature of the show makes it a little bit more interesting, because they have to paint with more detailed brushes rather than with broad brushes, where we give you a sprinkling of Arya here, a sprinkling of Jon Snow there. It's just everything's right here, so we have to be very detail oriented. And I like that. I think I definitely think it's headed in a really, really really fun and interesting direction. And it did get renewed for a second season. I don't know if I think we brought that up, but it was officially renewed for season 2.
I think it's good. And I think that's the perfect thing. I won't add much more. I think that's just a great point, Brandon. Like everything is just there, and we don't have to venture too far out. Mm-hmm. We don't have to, like you said, sometimes you forgot characters even existed, and you're just like, oh, he's back or she's back, and it's like this doesn't have that yet, you know. And it's like you are somewhat engaged by everyone, even if it's a little bit. You saw that little bit of engagement. I think that definitely helps.
Yeah. We did have a viewer or / listener question from our friend John Kish. Do we think that Daemon turns out to be the Night King? No, I don't think that.
I don't think that either.
I
like
have
the question.
I mean, fan theories are awesome, obviously, but having read the books, I have a little bit more insight into the fact that I really don't think they're really going to be messing with the lore if they try to make that connection. I don't think that's it.
I don't even have a joke for that. So that's how much I'm just confident it is not. I don't even have a joke. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Anything to say about the Lannisters or any of the scenes? I was
just excited when the Lannisters came back. It like that was just one of those things where, all right, cool, Lannisters are back. Giving us like when I first went over this episode, it's just good knowing that I feel like we're in the right place again.
Mm-hmm. I will say the scene in which the king killed the stag and they're just like holding it. I'm like,
yes,
I thought this was a hunt. I mean, this is like a bitch move.
It was a bitch
like
move.
Literally they're like, make sure you stab it here, my lord. Like, allow me to paint an X on it for you. A little bit higher, my lord. A little bit higher.
So intense. It was just so like, funny.
That was like, just like, I mean, at least Robert Baratheon died actually trying to hunt a boar.
Right.
Not this. Just gonna hold him down. I'm just gonna hold him down, and then
you have it
right here, right here, my lord.
It cracked me up. That was funny.
Kind of a bitch move. That's just me, though.
Yeah, it is.
But anyway,
it's a good show.
Yeah, so far so good. Nothing really to complain about other than, I mean, that's nitpicking.
I mean, about this show, I can complain about. If you want to go on, I can complain about other things in the world. But
no, I don't. That's
nothing.
fine.
Nothing here. Okay.
No,
okay.
let's not.
Just on this show.
Let's not do that.
Let's not do that.